Inheritance is an economic issue. It's wealth creation. So most of these customary laws were created by men, like I mentioned, and they excluded the girl child. The girl child is supposed to be the weaker person who even need economic empowerment. So, but in Esan land, the girl child is totally disinherited, which is against the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because the Constitution states that no one should be discriminated against on the basis of your sex, your religion, your ethnic group. But you know, all these things just happen, and as a country, as a people, we accept all of these things. And the country can move forward. When we talk about that, the law, like I said, has expanded the scope of violence to include emotional violence, economic violence, verbal, psychological. So the law too, what the review we are doing now is to put the mechanism in place, the mechanism for operationalizing that law. In Edo State, His Excellency inaugurated the Sexual Assault Referral Center while I was commissioner. The Sexual Assault Referral Center, we are supposed to have 3. It's one-stop shop where a victim of violence, be it a man or a woman, gets medical treatment, psychological treatment. You know, in Nigeria, we were never dealing with psychological treatment, trauma management. When a criminal breaks into a man's house, rapes the wife, nobody deals with the trauma. When a spouse loses his job, he or she becomes violent. Nobody deals with the trauma. When a girl child is the fan of His Excellency, during my time as the commissioner, we work with ROLAC, an international donor. They assisted us to set up a center in Benin here. We proposed other 2 centers, one for Auchi, Edo North, one for Isha, that should be in Urom General Hospital. So all persons of goodwill, persons in diaspora, it is good to really liaise with the ministry sometimes. Although we have challenges, because if you come again, you will see that His Excellency is trying to strengthen the ministry, because I met a very weak ministry. Sadly, people, they are very key. It was electionary campaigns. We go out, we will do this, we will do that. The civil servants ought to be the persons to implement most of the programs of government. But how knowledgeable are they? How prepared are they? Because at the end of the day, the responsibility is always left with the politicians. No, my sojourn as the commissioner has clearly shown me that we need knowledgeable people. That is why His Excellency is trying to overhaul the system. As commissioner, I was in a ministry, even though I'm a lawyer, a ministry that is supposed to be providing psychosocial support for the community, for families, for people that are victims of gender-based violence. But I made a system where I needed to develop their competencies. I had lots of trainings for them, for psychological training on trauma management. And we also had assistance from ROLAC to train them on managing people that are victims of crime. So, because the new system now, the justice sector, is no longer talking about punishing offenders alone. It's talking about restorative justice for the victim or survivor of crime. These are the new developments. And in Edo State, you know, so many people may not know, because if you are not here, you won't know the serious work that is going on. Because when you have professionals as commissioners minding the offices, I came into the ministry with a wealth of experience, having headed the feeder in Edo State, because all the while I was working on issues of women and children, And you know, my ministry is a ministry that houses all the vulnerable persons, talking about women, children, irregular migrants, persons living with disability, orphans, widows, the mentally ill. And the work is such that for me it's exciting, challenging, but the resources to carry out these functions for these our vulnerable persons is very lacking. You saw the EndSAR protest. There was a program we carried out before now during the International Day on against drug abuse and illicit trafficking. Also, when I was FIDA chairperson in 2017, I organized a program on drug abuse, a tragedy unity. I doubt if our brothers and sisters, our parents, there is hardly a home these days you do not have a child that is victim of drug abuse. So we go to, as a ministry, I make sure we always going to schools because primary school children are doing drug. Secondary school children are doing drug. The artisan is doing drug. We have become a drug consuming country. All the nooks and crannies of our state, people are taking drug. And the EndSAR protest, you could see the reaction. The children could only hear go, they can't hear come back. You come to our country today, we are having a lot of challenges with street children. That was why one of my recommendations for the state on the eve of my departure when the ESCO was dissolved, the need for them to build rehabilitation center for different categories of children. You go to Lagos State, I'm sure they have almost about 7 of those centers. But in Edo State, we only have 1 center for rehabilitation of children. The children that are in conflict with the law. You have some other group of children beyond parental care. And you have, so come to Benin today, Isha, Auchi, everywhere. You have children that are sleeping on the streets. We need to do something. If you go to Ring Road in Benin City, about 6, 7, bring out a musical instrument. You are playing it in less than 30 minutes. You will have over 15,000 children, homeless children. And people explain it that they are children from other parts of the country. Yes, they are children from other parts of the country because of the conflict in the Northeast and Northwest. They've come to meet us. So what are we doing? Are we rehabilitating them?